New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello and welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. My name is Gina Krupka and I am blessed to be here with you today. I have a wonderful guest and I'm so excited to be having this beautiful conversation with someone that has done so much for so many, and it is just a gift. But before I get there, I just want to say what this show is all about. We are here on Finding the Joy in the Journey to do just that, to realize that there is not somewhere else where the joy is. That all the good that we need begins within us. You know, it's not a destination. I believe that when you think of a mountaintop, you know, it's not just when we get to the peak that we see the beauty. We see different things along the way. And it's remembering that it's up to us to find it. It's not about waiting for it to show up the way we think it's going to look. It's about being in the experience, present right here, right now, because joy is that quality of divine that lives within us always. And today, to share that experience, we have Rev Dr David Ault, who is here today to share his experience and his many experiences that go beyond what we could possibly cover in an hour. And he is not only a minister, he is not only someone he's an author and a coach, and he has had, amazing, just an amazing career from as an actor to a singer and everything in between. And, he is the founder of Kaleidoscope Child Foundation, whose mission is to advance vulnerable children and communities worldwide with sustainable education. And he does that in Cambodia, India, Guatemala. And, it's amazing what they've accomplished and what they're working to accomplish. So without further ado, I'm bringing you in. I am so grateful to have you here because you have done amazing things and more amazing things are coming. So thank you for being here with me.
You're welcome, Gina. Hi.
Hello. I am so excited to have you here, especially this month. For those of you that don't normally get the Science in My magazine, I encourage you, go out and get the magazine. Tell us, how did that start? Because I love it. I read it all the time anyway, but you have a way of taking a subject, an incredible way of taking a subject and just going deeper in a spiritual way, like the body is the topic this month. Tell us, how did you get there? How did you start doing this? And, what's your process for doing it?
Well, first of all, I was asked, and I think that the first asked went back to about 2016, I believe. And And then I was asked again in 2018, and all of a sudden now it's become a yearly thing. And for anyone who dabbles in writing, you know that the word count is very short. So to have a compelling beginning, middle, and end, have it arrive at some meaningful conclusion in that short of a page is an art form in itself. So I love it. It's both terrifying and amazing to be able to come up with all of that. But it has been a wonderful outlet to share some of the history of my own life and my application with the science of mind teaching and the way in which it is lived out into the world. So I've been fortunate enough to kind of throw myself into a lifetime of adventure. And so I use as much of those stories as possible to be teaching tools within the magazine. And I'm just happy that they keep asking me back.
Well, of course they're going to ask you back. You're amazing. And I just, this week's even, I mean, this day rather, you know, the way that you word it and the way that you go about it. You know, today's topic, for those of you that haven't read it yet, was the gifts of Goliath. And I'm not going to read the whole thing as much as I would love to, but the last note is, who are your Goliaths? Is it time to review your certainty of them as villains? So realizing that these are all teachers.
Exactly. There would be no David, you know, even the allegory of that. It's a classic allegory of the underdog accomplishing something. And so that particular narrative is a shared narrative among all of us. And so that underdog part of us that might be too timid or to play small just from a lifetime of domestication must reach a critical juncture where they have to make a decision to break free from that. And that's what the Goliath is. The Goliath is the thing that pulls us into a greater expression that moves beyond any kind of familiar fear. And so who would we be without our respective Goliaths? They're the thing that call us into a greater expression of what we've always been capable of.
And I'm wondering, do you get a lot of feedback? Do people send you the messages because you're more seen this month? Have you been getting a lot of feedback on it?
I do. I think for some reason, the first time way back in, I believe it was 2016, I got a lot of messages. Not so much I hear or see comments and things through social media. I think the more that as a society, we have become familiar with the casualness of social media, there may be a like or a comment here or there, but I get about maybe 2 emails a day during the course of the month, talking about them, or sometimes even asking me questions, wanting clarification. Yeah. So it's always nice to get those types of things.
You know, I think that we get used to it when someone has those pearls of wisdom. Like, there's nothing I read from you that surprises me anymore. And I want to just mention that for people that do love your writing and your speaking, that you have 2 books that I just want to mention. You have The Grass is Green Right Here and Where Regret Cannot Find Me. And I just want to just put that plug in there. You didn't, and I put that in because I think it's important that people know how they can get more of you.
It's funny you show those pictures of those books, and there's a little bit of part of me that goes, and that's because I was talking with a friend of mine, Lisa McCourt, who has been in publishing for a long time. And we were sharing about how old works are tricky because hopefully we evolve, and the things that we might write about or philosophize about will be something that we will possibly outgrow. And the book that I've been working on of late, which is all about non-duality, has required me to live a certain amount of experience before I dare write any of my things on the paper. And it's slow going. And I've come to peace with the fact that this book is going to take a lot, and it has taken a lot. It's taken me and required, it's as if the theme of the book, or what the book is in the future that exists within the all, it's taking me on a journey going, I don't know if you want to write about it in that way. Let's show you this. And so I feel as though I'm kind of thrown in a lot of lion's dens of experience in order to really bring an integrity to this massive topic of non-duality.
Non-duality.
Well, you know, our principle.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that's such a...
Our key principle, and
Yes.
this is where it all began. Our key principle is it's all God. Everything is God. And I remember having a real kind of standing on the pulpit epiphany back in maybe 2015 here in Atlanta, going, do you really know that, David? And that little whisper, once that whisper got a hold of me, it was like how we would often say, how are you going to prove the principle? How are you going to prove that God is all that there is, especially in the seeming chaotic? I think at the time, it was just one tragedy after another every week, and still to this day. And when you're a pulpit minister, as you know, you want to bring meaning, you want to bring comfort, you want to bring inspiration, but you also want to bring principle to that message. And I thought, I'm struggling. And I remember kind of tossing the ball to the universe and saying, I want to know that God is all that there is. And boy, have I been on a ride.
Watch what you wish for, right?
Yeah. And I wouldn't change a thing. And the experiences are profound and rich. And I know that the subsequent birthing of that book will also exemplify that, but I really have to put into practice first what I'm writing.
And part of that is seeking, even in the midst of, we have phenomenal teachings, but our teachings are a culmination of all the other teachings. So when we really look at them and try to understand them, it's not just through our own ways. We have to find how they were written, where they were written, what was the context they were written in. So it's really delving into, I have been in 12-step work for over 20 years. And I can remember maybe 10 years ago, or if it was that, but after years of going through all of the practices, having this one moment of, do I even know what the word surrender means? Do I even know what it means? So I've definitely been there when it comes to duality, where I'm caught up in this world as opposed to, so there's certain simple words that we go through that, it's in theory, we get it completely, but am I living my life that way?
Yeah. You're gonna laugh, because I was, the alarm goes off every day now at 6. It gets hot here in Atlanta. So I'm getting X number of miles in every morning, walking in preparation for the Camino that I'm going to be returning to, that we'll talk about.
Yes, we're
definitely. So in order for me to do that, there's just no way to do it during the day in the heat, right? So I'm getting up, and I don't know, I think I'm on the 5th mile this morning, and I'm just drenched in sweat, and it's not even 7:45 yet. And I had this thought, knowledge. I was walking, and there's, those used tubes of chapstick. It was like on the ground. And I went, knowledge is like chapstick. It's meant to be applied, but not just once, because we laugh. How many people have about a dozen tubes of chapstick everywhere? They've got soil and dirt and lint and hair all over them because they've been in a pocket or something like that. But knowledge is like chapstick. It's meant to be applied and continuously applied until it's used up. And I was like, okay, wherever that came from. But it was the idea that we dabble, we dabble in knowledge. And so we'll try a new tube of chapstick and then we'll put it down. And then we'll go buy another tube of chapstick and then we'll put it down. And so we're buying books and we're listening to things and we're doing, but to apply it means we're steadily applying it until knowledge then cultivates deep roots. And that's the birth of wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom comes from that devotional application. So there's your groundbreaking spiritual lesson today. Knowledge is like chapstick.
Because it's what we're doing with it. How am I living with it? How is it affecting my life?
Yeah.
I realized through, we're human beings, not human doings, but am I living that way? And I spend most of my life as a human doing, without a doubt. And, the more I could get to, the better I was, because that's our society: bigger, better, faster, more. And the truth is, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that.
And we'll reach for the chapstick when we're in crisis. When the lips are chapped.
All that we've accomplished, like we pull it all out.
Like, oh my God, I need chapstick. I need knowledge. And
the lips already split open. We've already missed it.
Exactly.
But it's always there waiting. Spirit is always there waiting. And all the things that we learn then help us to become, they're all part of it. Like the Goliaths. They're not really Goliaths. They are lessons to help us to build our resilience. That walk, that 5 hour, that 5 mile walk in the heat is helping you with what you're about to go do. And let's talk about that first, because I have to tell you, I give you the Camino. Okay. For those of you, and you were telling me a little bit about what is the Camino.
So the Camino is our planet's most ancient pilgrimage. Dates back to the medieval ages. We say that just as a documented pilgrimage. I'm sure there are other indigenous pilgrimages, but this is the most ancient documented pilgrimage. Traditionally a Christian pilgrimage that marks the Camino de Santiago, or the way of Saint James. Saint James being the apostle, Saint James. And it was the way in which Christians made their way to Santiago in order to pay homage to the burial of James. And there is a cathedral there where his bones are entombed. And it is believed to be that is the sacred place. And this pilgrimage, the traditional route, was ridden on horseback by Joan of Arc and traveled by so many different luminaries and King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it was the pilgrimage, just like Muslims have their homage to Mecca, and Jews might look at Israel that way. It was that Christian piece and Christian pilgrimage. And then over time, it began to become more secularized, and then it died off, and there wasn't much history around the Camino. And then I believe they start talking about its resurgence around 1970s or so. And I found out about it because I love the writer, the Brazilian author, Paulo Coelho. And he wrote a book, the man who wrote The Alchemist. He wrote this book called The Pilgrimage. Fantastic book. I mean, just so inspiring. And I remember the seed was planted, and I was like, I want to do that. Shirley MacLaine wrote a book about it. It's very famous. Martin Sheen and his son, Emilio Estevez, made a movie about it, because that territory of Spain, the Basque country, is where his family of origin is from. And so it's rich. And now, of course, it's a rite of passage for most Europeans. It's not, it's probably the least populated walkers on the Camino are American, but any kind of pivotal decision point or juncture in life, the Camino provides this deep spiritual spaciousness. And I did it 13 years ago, and it was truly life-changing. So much was gleaned from that. And so I am going back all these years later, and I'm doing the Portuguese route. This time I am doing it for my foundation. I have a foundation called Kaleidoscope Child Foundation, and we are at a critical juncture. We have been operating under a sort of ceiling capacity of funds and deliverables and projects and initiatives that we bring education into rural villages and territories in Cambodia, India, and Guatemala, and do some work in US. And we're just busting because the work is requiring more of us. So we're beginning WASH programs. If people aren't familiar with that, WASH is an acronym for water accessibility, sanitation, and hygiene. It's one of the most critical needs in all impoverished territories around the world, be they in large metropolitan cities and slums, be they in rural villages and territories. And so WASH programs, they are a part of the World Health Organization and different things like that in order to help reduce and prevent many of the things that we've experienced collectively over the last couple of years. And so when you don't have hygiene, when you don't have water, when these people, multi-generations of people have done without, it's imperative. So we're about to start huge WASH campaigns, latrine installations and things in the slum of villages in India. I'll be over there most of November, and all of that costs money. And we have so much that is being asked of us. So I am walking the Camino to bring awareness to Kaleidoscope, to try to expand that, to raise funds while I'm walking. I have
And
a person. Yeah.
I just want to mention that what you're trying to raise is $75,000.
Yeah.
And
So
I want to
we
mention
do.
people that how to get there.
Yeah.
So just in case, wherever you are, if you don't, you're just tuning in, this is an amazing, it's not just a cause, it's people live because of this. People thrive because of this. People are able to, it's not just about schools. It's just literally living conditions in addition to everything else. So it's the way that people can get to you. And I definitely want you to tell me more about it, but I want to make sure people know, go to this, you can go to this kaleidoscopechildfoundation.org. The very top of the page, there is a button that will take you to a secure donation site. And that is what it's all about, is just giving what you can. When you were on the last time, I was so moved because $10 a month is what these families can literally feed families for an entire month. And, I don't have to do everything, but I can do $10 a month. And that's, sometimes we think, well, what can I do? This is something we can do. So it's just let people know as well. So I want to just let people know it's that simple. Go to this, you can go to this website and you can click the button at the top of the page and it takes you right there.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. Anytime that I can talk about our kids is so cherished and appreciated. So
they're beautiful. They're
beautiful. Oh my
God. You have emails and I encourage people to sign up for the newsletter because there's so much. We often think that life is like these grand gestures, but there really is. There's so much that we can do like individuals. And I'm sure that you have things that people can do to help you throughout this whole thing as well. So even if it's the time and talents in addition to whatever you can do. So tell us how this works. How long is the trip?
The Portuguese route is about the same as the traditional route. I'm giving myself 30 days to complete it. It's a lot of walking every day. And I have to arrive in Santiago on a specific time, because I have to then fly from Santiago de Compostela to Geneva, Switzerland, in order to be the keynote for the CSL conference that's happening. So as one friend that I deeply respect said to me, he goes, "My God, you're going to be lit from the experience." And I went, "I hope so. Yeah, in a good way." So, yeah.
And that's the Geneva Convention for CSL. So again, CSL-geneva.com, and people can find out more about how to go to that, to be part of that with you. And it's such a
it's a
gift.
wonderful thing. Yeah. And I, like everybody else, I get in my head about age and about ability, and it was a little bit of it was more than a little bit. It was a challenge to rise out of the COVID fog and to get things physically moving within us and in myself. And so one of the beauties of having, I'll just say, a goal of something like this that requires more of us, is that suddenly that which is dormant or that which is sedentary within us is forced to wake up. And I tell you, the first couple of weeks of the early morning, got to do this no matter what, because the deadline is looming, was not fun. And then even this morning, I remember noticing, how you just begin to go, I see. And what was once difficult isn't difficult. And walking longer, going in the evening and adding on those things. And it's like anything, right? We don't know until we meet the resistance. We don't know what we're capable of. I loved Eleanor Roosevelt. She used to say, "You must do the thing you think you cannot do." I always loved that, because I love the word must. You must do that in order to arrive at an understanding about yourself, ourselves, as infinite potentiality. And if we don't face the thing, if we don't go and greet the Goliath and see it as an opportunity, then we can live out all of our days thinking that we are limited in some way.
And it's just our beliefs. It's realizing. And I wanted to mention we're live. So any questions that people may have, please feel free to bring them forth. We'd love to hear from you. Hello, Wayne. Great to have you here with us from Calgary.
Howdy from Calgary. Hi.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. And this isn't the first pilgrimage you've been on. This is the first one that it's a fundraiser. But you have done the Inca Trail, Machu Picchu in Peru. You've summited Kilimanjaro in Africa. So you have taken your tours of sacred sites. This is definitely not your first go around for that.
Yeah. All of those things had deep meaning and a purpose behind them. They weren't just kind of random bucket list check items. There was deep meaning to them. And my Karen, I just got to spend a couple of days with Karen in Northern California. So I love you back.
She is amazing. Karen Drucker is a gift. She's been on the Peace Circle a couple of times, and she is so kind in giving of her time to centers and to so many. And I encourage people to get her newsletter as well, because she actually does Sacred Sing the second Sunday of every month. So say that's a few times fast, but definitely go to KarenDrucker.com and she can get as far as the Sacred Sing. It's a Zoom that she offers to people for free. She's just a gift.
Did you know we traveled together, Karen and I?
I did, and
that was dangerous having the two of us together. It was so much fun. So much fun. And yeah. Hey.
So inspired. Thank you all for being here with us. It is such a gift. It is, it is definitely spiritual mavericks. It's knowing that we get to live our lives in the way we choose.
Yeah.
And if we're really lucky, in the way Spirit chooses. That's how I look at it. The best of my life is when I give in a place, in a way that's not of me. If
And you
that
know
makes
what's
sense.
fun? Yeah. And you know what's fun, Gina? Because I know as a minister, you can appreciate this. It is finding ways to not just lecture about the principle, but to kind of live it out loud. I remember one time at a convention, someone said people don't want to hear a sermon, they want to see a sermon.
Yeah.
And boy, did that really, I mean, I could feel it in my gut when they said that. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want. I want to live out loud with all of the messiness and all of the transparency, no matter how much the ego part of me wants to hide. And
Karen says we were Shunny and Cher of New Thought. Love that.
yeah, but we would fight over who got to be Cher. But the idea of living out loud, and as you know, the role that you have accepted, the call that you have said yes to, is
so close. I still have to panel, so I don't quite. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah,
so
you're already there. I see it. I celebrate everything that was required that people will never see. All of the hours, all of the study, all of the work. And so there's something to that. It's not just one day you walk on a pulpit and you have Rev in front of your name. There is a zigzag path of questioning and hurdle and being scared and being pushed beyond what we're accustomed to. But ultimately, too, it's stepping into a fishbowl. Yes. And on live here, I'm saying this to you. I am here for you.
Thank you.
As one who has been there and swam with the sharks, I am here for you. And it's thrilling, and it requires a spine. And I know that none of us arrive at the decision that you've made without there being the right and perfect hand-holding by what's next to take you to where you need to be.
Spirit isn't subtle. That's how I look. Spirit is not subtle. So this was never my plan. Yeah. And I know that, it leads me to it. It'll lead me through it. And that is, doing the next right thing to the best of my ability. There's parts of it that I absolutely love. And there are parts of it that, go with it. And that's everything in life, right?
I love how you said that.
Yeah. It's no different than the walk you're going to take. There's going to be amazing times on it. And there's going to be times that it is hotter than, and the truth is that that's part of the sacrifice that you're choosing to live in. And you're going to document it to us. And you're going to give us that play-by-play. So people have to follow you. I want people to make sure that they follow you on, not just Facebook, but also YouTube, because you're going to upload from your phone.
I'm going to vlog every day. And the easiest way to talk about and show the experience is to just upload it on my YouTube channel. So you know how you have categories that you can have in your YouTube channel? I'm going to have a Camino category, and they can follow along. But you're right. We have a tendency to glamorize. And I found my blog from the last Camino, and it was extensive. And I shared it with my friend, Britt Hall, who's the Unity minister in New York City and who's going with me. And I shared it with him, and I said, here's the raw truth. And it was interesting to read that blog again, because there were deep struggles like you were talking about during that time. And then you're done, and the Caminos and the history, and you go, oh my God, it was life-changing. It was life-changing, and it was hard. And so I know that same stuff will be there. And that to me is the beauty of maximizing being human. If we're going to incarnate and we're going to go on this human journey, then I want to show up for the curriculum as best I can. And that means showing up for the things that scare me.
Yeah. That's what the show is, finding the joy in the journey. That's the point of it. And sometimes we have to seek in places we wouldn't think it would be. So, we're not going to find depth on the internet. Surfing the net isn't where,
Wait, we're not? What?
It's not where we're found. Don't get me wrong. We're doing shows that, hopefully are inspiring to people.
Except this experience.
Well, all of them. I hope that there's something to be learned from all of things. The daily readings, they're wonderful. But it's not, inspiration finds you when you're still enough to hear it.
So true.
You have to be open enough to contemplate. I never knew everything that I understood was surface. I didn't know how to let it in. I had a conversation with a friend of mine last week who was saying, because I'm 48, I'm about to be 49, and she's about my age, and she's like, I never had anxiety. I said, no, you never allowed yourself anxiety. We had stress, we had fear, we had emotions, but we never allowed ourselves to feel them. It wasn't that we didn't have anxiety. It was that it wasn't acceptable where we grew up.
You
didn't talk about your feelings. You didn't feel your feelings. You just walked through life. And she looked at me, and this isn't someone, I absolutely, but she's like, no, I didn't have it. I'm like, okay. And I'm realizing maybe that is but for me, I know all of this was here all along. And as I peel back the layers, I'm like, damn it, why am I peeling back layers sometimes?
Right.
This is what I wanted.
Hear you. I hear you. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's an automatic, if life was a clutch and we just put it in automatic and we just did our thing. And this path of self-awareness is a shifting gear. It's slowing down. And in the slowing down, all of the things that we've just raced through, we are finally given the opportunity to turn and look at. And not to identify with it and not to give it residency in our hearts, but to look at it so that we can create this mental and emotional and spiritual transfiguration with it, because without realizing it, it's been affecting us.
And she says she gets it too.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, why? It's like looking at a pattern and going and becoming curious with that pattern. Why am I continuing to create these same types of personalities? Why do I have the triggers that I have? Why do I continue to react to specific things in life? And when I become curious about that, it does cause me, like you were talking about, to slow down and to look and to examine. And in that curiosity, I'm going to find a whole different set of subconscious beliefs that I didn't even know were there. Those themes. I love to call them themes.
Curiosity. I love that. Because I call it witness. Just witness.
Yeah.
Witness.
Yeah. I mean, to me, curiosity heals. To me, being the witness is the ultimate healing, because I can go, wow, I wonder what the theme is with that. We all have themes. We're all walking around with a shared theme that we don't have enough time. There's no truth to that. But when you take a theme, and a theme simply means it's something that is repetitively arrived at as a truth, and we just every day, I don't have enough time, then life exemplifies the theme, not because it's true, but because it is reflecting what it is that we continue to consume as a reality.
Well, they were what was told to us, so we perpetuate.
Yeah.
And that's when life speeds up. And when we come into these teachings, we're taught to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how for the longest time. It was a big, I grew up inner city Boston, and I had no idea what meditation was. It was excruciating for me to sit for 3 minutes with an egg timer.
Yeah.
Excruciating. And everybody comes from a different space. And if you were blessed I know people that have come into these teaching as children, and I think good for you, but that certainly was not my way about it, and it's witnessing without
Yeah.
the judgment. And
Right.
I've realized so strongly lately is that I'm so much kinder to everyone else. I can be accepting of your path and however long it takes for you. But shouldn't I have already gotten there? I'm still in that place of reminding myself to stop shooting on myself,
Mm-hmm.
and shouldn't I know that? Shouldn't I know to not should? All of those layers, and it's catching myself and laughing. If we
Mm-hmm.
can laugh at ourselves, life is better.
And I kind of personally believe that those neuroses, they never go away. They're a part, again, of the human experience. But what changes and what shifts is the who's mastering whom and what's in charge. And so we look at those neuroses as our eccentricities, and we get to see them for what they are. And when they rise up, and they will, again, we don't, like you were talking about, we don't get so heavily inflating with chastising ourselves. We go, look what's there. And again, to say that to somebody who's never done that, meaningless. But to arrive at that self-flagellation and to do what we were talking about, where you practice being the witness, or you just look at it and go, that's the golden ticket. That's the moment where change has the ability to be implemented. It's not something that you can do conceptually. There has to be that moment where you step into the mystery rather than defaulting to the history.
Love that.
Yeah.
The mystery versus the history. I love that. It's the ego versus the soul in so much of, and they're both there to help along the way. They're both important, and it doesn't need to be a battle.
Right.
And when I catch it, it's amazing. Perspective is everything. And spiritual practices help me keep the glasses and the lenses of perspective.
Mm.
And that's what we're here. We talk about finding the joy in the journey. It is that we are here to find our own paths to staying in the perspective that gives us the life that we choose.
Yeah.
As opposed to the one that doesn't feel good. It's that simple. If you're feeling good, you're in the right direction. If you're not, then you're not. It's so, sometimes the simplest things can be so.
And you couple that with what we were talking about before the show started, and surrender.
Yeah.
And so if we didn't hear anything else, but our ears picked up on this word surrender, and we created a paradigm shift that surrender isn't weak, it's actually strong. So I did a wild thing a while ago, and I managed to get a one-on-one with Matt Kahn. I don't know if you know who Matt Kahn is, but he's one of the great spiritual teachers, somebody that I really, really resonate with. And every once in a blue moon, he will open up his calendar and he will do these kind of one-on-ones. And so I somehow, it was like months in advance. So I had to make sure and put it in my calendar. But when we talked, we were talking about shared experiences. And he said this, he said, surrender is a gracious thief. Because, and I just, I got chills when he said it. Surrender is a gracious thief, because when you surrender and you let go of the attachment and you give it all, it's a thief that comes in and robs us of the repetitive suffering. And it's very gracious. And oh my God, I just thought that was stunning. And
I love
maybe he said that to other people. I'd like to think I was special. But I was like,
You
I
are
said, oh my
absolutely.
God, stop. I got to write that down.
I just wrote it down myself. I love
know. Surrender is a gracious thief.
And it's reminding ourselves of these things, that there is strength in letting go. And when I read, I used to hate the word surrender, and now I look at it and I really think of when I'm going to give it over, because I'm going to let God be God today. And as I say that, I laugh, because it's the thought that I would let him be anything else is just ridiculous. And it puts it on the level of what it really is. It gives me the opportunity. And when I need to remember, like, I have the temporary tattoos because I'm not bold enough to get the real ones. You can see something on my arm. Last week, yeah, I'm not bold enough. So I had last week's was surrender, was actually the thing. And this week is spiritual warrior. Cool. So I remind myself of, you can, it's actually Conscious Inc., I think, is the website. They have wonderful sayings. We get to remind ourselves, however we choose, to be able to, just reinforce what I want to. Because, there's a ton of sayings on my walls. What good is it if I don't? It's the chapstick. If I don't apply it.
See, that whole chapstick thing was just so that I got to share it on your show.
It's deep, I tell you. I want to make sure that if anybody missed the beginning, I want to make sure people have heard that you are doing the Camino and you are doing it as a fundraiser. Right. And I want people to go to your website. KaleidoscopeChildFoundation.org is an amazing, absolutely wonderful foundation that gives the possibility to children to go to school, to have clean water, to have a better life. Mm-hmm. It gives people a chance to live in different, completely different way. And it's in Cambodia, India, and Guatemala, and as well as in the United States. And I encourage people, go to this website and click at the top. It's a fundraiser going on right now there's things that need to be done, and whatever you can give, it truly helps. So I encourage people to do that. And I want people to know that they can also go to your website, and you can go and they can sign up for your newsletter as well. But they can also go to your YouTube and your Facebook, because you're going to be posting some daily stuff from the tour of. And
from the one foot in front of the other.
It's all it ever is, though.
That's right.
It's all it ever is. And also loved that, surrender is a gracious thief. And what we get, what's taken is always stuff I don't need.
Exactly.
It's such a gift.
That's why it's gracious.
There's words that we have associations with sometimes that, for different people, like when my husband saw the word surrender on me, he's like, what is that? Like, why would you choose to give up? And I'm like, it's not giving up anything good. It's giving up the struggle or trying to control outcomes. The why, the how is always up to the law. And when I step into the law's side, I am always stopping the flow of my good.
And let me tell you about control, because I think one of the things that we might miss when we are aware that all of us have that is that control is a product of some type of trauma. If we grew up in chaos, obviously there is that, which is even the reptilian brain is going to want to have some semblance of control. And so whatever those formative experiences were is going to dictate the severity or the loyalty to that control. And all of us have that to some degree. And I want to remind everybody that surrendering is not sweeping that trauma under the rug. It's acknowledging that it happened. It's acknowledging that it happened, and it's understanding that it's not who we are. And so, and again, I know that many people say these same things in many different ways, but it's not about wanting to establish yet another identity. As things unfold, as we become more self-aware and more layers are pulled back, it doesn't mean that it's going to be completely joyful. There will be some pain as well. In fact, the title of my book is Joy, Pain, and Other Synonyms, because it's all the same thing. In the non-dual world, all of that which appears to be dual isn't disconnected or opposite. It is all a part of the one organism.
Well, there's nothing other than there's only spirit.
Yeah.
There's only
And
God. So if that's all there is, then it's all good.
Joy, pain, and other synonyms. And so when we think about that, then the important step in healing, the important step in surrender that I think is a critical piece is to not create some type of false amnesia, but to acknowledge that it happened. And is always such a beautiful operative word. And, not but and. And that and then is like, instead of a period, it becomes a comma. And so it's like, what's then next for us?
Well, we are not our story.
Exactly. The story's going to happen. The story's going to happen. And it is important to acknowledge it, but not to dwell on it.
Well, it was a chapter in our life. It's not the whole story.
Right.
And we get the opportunity now to move forward if we turn the page. And the only way it's not turning the page and ripping it out. It's not denial. It's not in a place of spiritual bypass where we're pretending, no, really, it's okay. If it's not okay.
Right.
It's being in a place of being healed, letting it dissipate, letting it no longer be forced down. It's just not a thing anymore. One of the things I remember clearly from foundations class, actually, Reverend Ian Taylor, he wiped a chalkboard and you could see what was under it. The word was forgiveness. And, when you wiped it off with the eraser, you could see it. And then he got a wet sponge and he wiped it off and you couldn't see it. He said, that's forgiveness.
Yeah. When
it no longer has any remnants that you can ever remember, that it's not even there. So it's not being forced. It's not. And that's what healing is. And it comes in a lot of forms. And those are the miracles that happen when your life is in perspective on the Camino.
Right.
That, you're putting the life changing because your perspective is changing.
Absolutely. In fact, when you arrive at the cathedral as a pilgrim, you're supposed to take your pack off, lay on the ground with the crown of your head facing the cathedral, and then look back at it that way in order to symbolize that you're willing to see the world differently now that you've gone on this journey. And the first time when I arrived all those years ago and I did that, it was fascinating. And when I did that, I just remember even the way that the sun hit this massive Gothic building was different because of the way that I was looking at it. I mean, anybody go outside and lay down and look at the sky, and you start to see there's a whole different perspective of the world that we never see. And the same is true with a belief and an experience.
And that's where our practices come in, that we kind of pull ourselves back from the bloated nothingness. We get that out of the way and we are just present in the presence.
Wouldn't that be the name of a great rock band? The Bloated Nothingness. Let's start one.
You and Karen can start again.
Yeah, Karen, if you're
Next
still
tour.
on, we're going to start a band called The Bloated Nothingness.
The next tour. Well, it's hard to believe, but we are already at that place. It's not.
You're so fun. I love
it-
this. Oh my God.
It's such a gift to be here with you. You're so gracious with your time, and it's really appreciated. Thank you. And again, I encourage people. You're actually going to be the keynote for CSL Geneva. So, go to if you're interested in going to the convention, go to csl-geneva.com.
It's
and
beautiful.
He will be
there.
glowing. He will absolutely be glowing, like the backdrop of our. You will be so. I can't even imagine what that keynote is going to be like at that point.
Of all the retreats I've ever done, this one in Geneva is the most beautiful. It's in a chateau outside of Geneva, and the people and the staff and the grounds, it's just breathtaking.
So I encourage people to go take a look, and of course sign up for they can find you not only at your website, and you always have classes that are up there that people can kind of gear themselves through, but you're new, they're going to be there. People are, you're going to gear back up with classes again
in the fall. Have a little summer
now,
hiatus.
The gathering is every Sunday. I wanted to encourage people. It's going to be an interesting trick to try to get it all going while you're away, but knowing that all of it's coming together in amazing, creative ways, that you will be there. So the gathering is your 30-minute message on Sundays at noon on Eastern time. Right. So I want to encourage people to know that they can go. And how do they get to the gathering?
Facebook. You know how we have a personal page and a professional page? It appears on the professional page, and so
people can look you up. It's always there.
If they go to even my website, there are links that take you to the Facebook page.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So
and like us at Kaleidoscope. Yeah. Like if you're an Instagram person, oh my God, we made little cards. I'm going to be passing them out all through Europe. We just want to be liked. Just to, again, anything that we can do to break convention and get people to see what we're doing. Yep. Our Instagram page is amazing. Our website is amazing. And so we want people to be able to find Kaleidoscope.
Take a look at
Child Foundation.
What you're doing. Absolutely. There's great stuff. And again, all you have to do is go there and click on the top of the page, takes you right to, and there's this one-time donation for the fundraiser is on the top of the page. But if you're interested, even, like I said, $10 a month, literally, and of course it's also tax deductible, so people can use that as well. But for $10 a month, you're literally changing a family's life.
So that's an angel patron. If they want to do that, that information's on the website as well. And we love our patrons. They give us a little bit of an ability to inhale and exhale a little bit easier, so we can meet our needs.
So thank you for being here. And I want to thank New Thought Media Network for making this platform available to us, for us, so we can share the good news. Just such a gift to be here as part of this, the good news in the world. There's so much stuff that can distract us. We are part of that solution when we are speaking positive, when we are living in that positive knowing, when we are being the light in the world. So, and you can reach me on Facebook. You can reach out to me by email. I'd love to hear from you. If there's guests that you want to see on the show, I'd love to see. I'd love for you to let me know. Reach right on out. And thank you for your time. Such a gift. And
I have a 4:00 client, so I got to hop off. But
absolutely, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Blessings, and everyone have a wonderful, wonderful week. Finding the joy in the journey. Blessings and love.
Bye bye.